Y'all go ahead and talk.
Okay.
So, street.
I get it.
Yeah. It's the same word, but it has totally different meaning.
How it's used, I can say.
But
Sound good? Okay.
I don't know. I just thought about that because.
Oh, well. Okay. Well, we're just going to jump right in. I was looking for our intro music and it wasn't working right. So we are going to just go ahead and jump into. Oh, wait a minute. Here we go.
Welcome to the talk show, where we're kicking it and having fun on inspirational radio. The talk show, kicking it and having fun. So turn your radio up.
All right. It's the re-up in the house. Or most of the re-up team. We in the house right now. We got an introduction. Who we got today? Mr. Dynamite, who did you bring for us?
Well, in light of recent circumstances, I think it only fitting to bring back someone that we all know and love.
Okay.
Who's that?
I give you Bishop One Good Lady.
Oh.
Bishop One Good Lady. Okay. All right. Welcome, Bishop. It's been a minute.
Well,
a couple of years.
Yes, it has. And I'm happy to be back with you, Deacon Seaworth.
Yeah.
You and your lovely wife who have joined us on tonight, the dignitaries, giving honor to God, and all that are listening under the sound of my voice. Let me say this, and I'm going to make it very clear for those of you who are listening and watching right now. This show has meant so much in the ministry and the things that I've been able to do. And I want to just give a special kudos to Deacon Seaworth for all that he's done throughout this region. He has definitely been instrumental in facilitating so many good things of God. And I'm just so thankful to this show, to this wonderful show, this platform for giving me yet another opportunity to stand or sit, should I say in this case, before his people and declare what thus saith the Lord on tonight.
Thus saith the Lord.
Yes. Listen, in the absence of Lasagna Wynn, I want to say a special hey to her and happy birthday to her.
Birthday.
And let her know that we are thinking of her even on this day as she attends to other matters. And I want to thank my man, Mr. Dynamite, for having the forethought to bring me home tonight. And, you know, just a special brother, and I appreciate him so much, so much. All of you all, God's people, we love you with the love of the Lord, and I promise you there ain't nothing you can do about it.
Well, I appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Bishop, welcome back. I remember that one time you cussed me out. You got mad at me.
No,
But
I
I'm
don't
glad
call
we-
that
we-
deaconcy work.
I'm glad we're, full circle,
I
man.
don't think that was the case. I love your brother, and I think
The whole way.
yeah, all the way.
Okay.
All the way. You've always been one of my favorite deacons, in or out of the church.
In or out.
out.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we appreciate you, man. Thank you. Thank you for always being a welcome, member of the Re-Up.
Absolutely.
You and your good buddy Jerry Jones. But yeah, y'all, welcome to the Re-Up. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties earlier, but we got it straight, and we got a really, really good show for you tonight. Recap of last week, man. We talked about T.D. Jakes. We talked about Will Smith. There's 2 shows out right now, 2 separate segments out right now that you can go listen to and kind of get the details and hear about what happened with that. But, I thought had a lot of good conversation about that. What were some of your highlights, some of your takeaways, Mr. Dynamite?
Well, in Mr. Dynamite's absence, I'm going to
Okay.
be filling in for him.
You bishop the whole,
The whole
the
show.
whole show.
You know,
Gotcha,
we
Bishop.
might just go from henceforth.
From henceforth.
Oh.
Okay.
We might just do it
Dion
like
won't
that.
come back.
Dion ain't coming back. Okay, Bishop. One good leg. I gotta change up the name here.
Yeah, you got to fix that on up right now.
Okay.
Right now.
Go ahead. While you talking, I'm gonna fix it.
I listened to the show last week, and I got a lot of quality information and revelation from a lot of things that were said.
Just can't remember. I got you. We talked about trauma.
It's a slippery slope right now. It's a very slippery slope.
You got excited, or Dion got excited about focusing on the fruit instead of the root.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. You definitely pulled that one out of your memory bank.
Out of my memory bank. Huh?
Where? It's a good one. Leg. Right on the line.
Boy, I tell you.
Right on the cusp.
So real quick, before we continue with this recap, again, I'd like to, introduce you guys to my lovely wife. She has joined the show. We like to have a female perspective on the show, and so Lasagna's out celebrating her birthday, and Carla her name is Carla Seaworth,
Mm-hmm.
and she wants to jump in and have this conversation. And she's been on a couple of shows with us before.
The
She knows how
deaconess.
to handle us, a little bit. And then in the future, we're actually gonna work on doing a show real soon, the men versus women.
Yes.
And we do the event, we do the actual event all the time, locally. But we're gonna actually do the show online. So yeah,
It's gonna be hammer time.
hammer time.
Oh yeah, you guys.
It
stay
really
down and
is.
dirty.
He gonna tell all the business. That's what. That's what
He's
he
gonna tell.
Yeah, he gonna tell all the business. Then
Ah,
I just gotta
Brace yourself.
smile
just
and
brace
nod.
yourself.
It'll be true. It's not a lie. It's the truth.
So last week when we had the show, we talked a little bit about Bishop, and if you did watch the show from last week, it was about this trend that we've been seeing on TikTok. Bishop did a Father's Day message, and he basically, said that the women of today's culture need to let men be men, basically, to not feel like they have to take the place of men. And so I know I'm not saying it as good as Bishop, so just make sure you go look at the show. But one of the comments that came in based off of that show, I thought was pretty interesting. All right. And so I read this comment to Dion right before the show. I really should have had the camera on to see his reaction, but I'm going to read it to you now. Right. And then, I want to talk about it. This was actually something that I wanted to talk about in some of our future shows. It's this thing going on called the Red Pill movement. It's a lot of masculine men having conversations about how they think women should act or, portray themselves with their husband or the person that they're committed with, how men should treat their woman. And so this person didn't claim the red pill, but he actually gave a lot of the feeling. So I'm gonna read this, and as always, 2 things I'm gonna ask you guys to do: subscribe, share. It's gonna actually be 3, and then chat with us. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know your feelings. What you guys want to talk about. This is an active thing. I got the chat ready to pop up anytime you guys want to, have a conversation with us. So this was a comment from Bronze to Gold. He said, "You dudes need to speak for yourself. Black men like you don't protect your woman. The black men that I know protect their women. They just don't tolerate obvious nonsense from disrespectful black women. Grow a spine, because this was one of the weakest displays of black masculinity I have seen on the net. Not only did you misrepresent data, you misrepresented black men as a whole. The low self-esteem in this video is cringy all the way around." Wow. So if anybody knows me, I'm, very transparent. So I'm gonna tell you what my first reaction was as a man. My nature was I wanted to respond in probably a more masculine way. I think I saved my masculinity for, dudes. I don't need to be over masculine with my wife. I mean, it makes absolutely no sense to me. So, I did reach out. I wanted to know what part of the show he was referring to that, may have made him feel the way that he felt. I don't really even remember us talking too much about masculinity or anything like that, other than the challenge to men to step up and be more men, to take care of, their business. Dion, what's your thoughts, man? Keep it good now. Don't. You need a minute? Because we gotta.
I'll go. I mean, first of all, it didn't make me feel any type of way. I thought the show was really good. I think the portion of what is being displayed, from Bishop's message is just a part of the message. So it's kind of like anything else. If you just take a snippet of it, you got to hear the whole thing to get a good, informed idea of what he was talking about. So,
and I thought that was the focus of
what
we were talking about last week.
Even with his comment, I don't know. With listening to the show, I'm not sure. I can't see where he's coming from. But the childish version of me don't really care because he misspelled, he capitalized. If you're going to try to go off on somebody, at least understand how grammar works. So I can't even, along with not understanding where the point is coming from, I can't even follow what he has written. So it's not even a good display of his point. So I don't feel that he really wanted a response. And to add to this, some of these platforms are just toxic. If you are used to reading comments, which I always jump and read the comments, you can just kind of see the type of people that are in the comments. And so, I think he's a non-factor, not saying he's not a person, but I don't understand the reasoning, and if you don't like it, just keep scrolling. You see tons of data on a daily basis. So what was in this video, you know what I mean, that made you feel like you needed to respond? And I mean, it's Jay Agape, baby. It's all about love. So either way,
Yeah, I mean,
we back.
We back.
I get the love aspect of it, and I enjoy that.
Mm-hmm.
But like Mr. Dynamite told you last week,
okay,
you're not going to get on here and disrespect anybody on the show and bully them or any of that. You're not going to do that. You're not going to do that. Because as long as I've been saved, I've also been a firm believer in having the spirit of Peter. And
okay,
the spirit of Peter.
Here we go.
My pull-up game is strong. My pull-up game is strong.
For those of you who don't know who Peter is, in the Bible,
yeah,
he cut the ear off.
Smooth off.
You cut the ear off.
Like, he didn't flinch. And it was gone.
They was trying to take Jesus, and he cut the ear off.
So be real careful, how you handle us, because at the end of the day, I wasn't speaking of us specifically. I'm talking about black people, black men in general. And it looks like that comment was directed more at the portion of the show where I was talking. And that also is a no-no.
It's just
it's like you trying to cyberbully us, and it's not going to pan out well for you.
It's just in general, though. I mean, women. The statement about not taking
nonsense from disrespectful black women.
I mean, what does that mean? Because here's, as a woman, and I really didn't want to steal y'all show, but one of the things about black women is that we're caught in a catch-22. So black women has some type of bubble over their head that we got attitude. We gonna roll our neck. We waiting to pop off. And then when we don't do that, it's almost like people are pushing you to get this stereotype out of you. But to me, because a woman has an opinion, because she speaks her mind, that's any race. So disrespect is not a color specific thing. So coming from a male, which I'm not sure what race he is or not, but even for that, why is a black woman just not protected? You know what I mean? Like, why is it that coming from a black male, you got to say the words disrespectful attached or associated to a black woman? You know what I'm saying? When disrespect can come from anybody, any color, it's just being a woman. All women deserve respect, I guess is the point that I'm trying to make. So just in his statement, because I'm not going to think about this after this, but I was just trying to at least understand the comment. I don't think we have to agree on everything, but we should be respectful, is my opinion.
And I think that's what it is. I mean, there was a tone of disrespect in his message, very strong tone in it. A lot of assumptions. The one thing I will say, this is definitely from the flesh, if you ran up on my wife, you would understand how protected she was by me, by her sons.
By me.
By you too. You gotta break them nails, baby. But he made a lot of assumptions about a lot of things. But like I said, I at first I got very offended by it, just transparently. But again, this is his point of view. And it seems, this is one person, but every time I pick up TikTok, every time I pick up YouTube, this is the type of thing.
Bishop One Leg got something to say.
This is the type of stuff that
you're saying,
that I'm seeing and I'm hearing. Yeah. So it's not surprising to me that you have someone that is approaching whatever we said last week in our episode the way that he's respecting, because that's pretty much the norm. That's the trend that everybody's jumping on right now.
But we're always addressing surface stuff anyways. A lot of this stuff is, we're not getting to the root of it anyway. So to me, a lot of people, I've seen a lot of those videos, and I've seen it from a woman's perspective too, of it's just really on attack mode. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, for what we do is we don't just focus on me as a woman, you as a gentleman, but we focus on a family. So things like this, these people have children. Their children date our children, you know what I mean? So it's a continual thing that when we're constantly showing disrespect to one another, it goes beyond us. You know what I'm saying? Our kids are gonna watch these videos and they're dating. Most of our kids are grown. You know what I mean? So they're of a dating age. So the same TikTok that I'm on, they're on.
Right. Before I pull up the script at the and we go biblical with this.
This is Bishop One Good Leg.
Bishop One Good. I'm sorry, I keep forgetting.
What the other leg do? Bishop
y'all look
One
so
Good Leg.
much alike, man. Y'all look so much alike. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot to unwrap here. So again, this is not going to be the entire topic of this show.
It can't be.
It can't be because, like you said, there's a lot to unwrap there. I know last week I did talk about balance, about the pendulum swinging, right? We talked about how women were so abused and so misused and not able to vote. I mean, you had black people that weren't considered human and women right above, slightly above black people. You know what I mean? That's the history of it, right? So, and so we went from that all the way to, again, truth be told, there are a lot of independent women out here. People who I don't need a man, and I'm not going to do this, and I'm, all of this, very, very independent talk. So I get where you might have this I don't know, thought that this is how all women are, but one, that's ignorant in itself to say all people are that way.
To use all in anything is always ignorance.
Very ignorant.
Because nothing can cover anything in all consumption that way. So
and the one thing
you
I
ain't
want
met
to
every woman
address
in the world
is this show is not to address and represent all black men. I come representing Christ. This is what this show is about. So we take cultural things and we talk about it and from a practical sense on what the Bible actually says about it and how we're supposed to live with it. That's why I'm really trying to take the high road on this and really understand, have some understanding of where a brother might be coming from.
We tried it, so let's just see what the scriptures say.
Yeah. So, I mean, the scripture that came to mind for me, right, is something that, when I talk to young men about marriage and about our responsibility in marriage, is Ephesians 5:21. All right. And let me bring that up for everybody. And so I'm going to start at verse 21, probably read down to, 30, or right before 30. But this is, to me, what true masculinity looks like, especially in the eyes of God, right? And then I'm going to speak to the women, because it's a big part of this as well. Verse 21 says, submitting yourself one to another in the fear of God. Wives, submit yourself unto your own husbands as unto the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church and he is the savior of the body. Stop there real quick. Again, a lot of women, a lot of men, a lot of us take this verse or take this out of context, take offense to that portion of it. But the part that I really want to challenge the men, and especially this man on our feed right here, is husbands, love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it, that he may sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word. Right? And so I want you guys to think about that. Love your wives as Christ loved the church. What did Christ do for the church, Deanna?
Gave his life.
He died. He did more than give his life. He got whipped, cat of nine tails. He got beat beyond recognition. Had to carry his own cost. I mean, the most vile death ever for the church. And God is comparing husbands to love their wives like that. So, to me, true masculinity is really loving your wife through a lot of these tough things, through a lot of the things you think I'm feeling disrespected. How many times the people that are listening to me have disrespected or done something that went against God, and God still gives you grace, still forgives you,
right?
Still listen. He's comparing that type of love with the love that we're supposed to have with his wife. And I heard somebody say this. I don't know. I'm sorry I can't give him credit on Twitter. And this was, just probably the best thing that I've heard on the net in a while was, I think husbands, if we learn how to love our wives in that way, it probably will be a lot easier for them to submit to us, right? Honestly, I only speak for myself. I don't feel like my wife is going to go out and find someone that's going to love her as much as I do, care for her as much as I do, right? I don't feel it. Like I, as a man, as a masculine man, go ahead and use that word, right? I don't, but if she does, I'm secure enough to understand and know it's not because of me. It's not because of something that I'm not doing or that I'm not trying to do. Because I can't say that I'm perfect at this. Loving someone in that level.
That's some big shoes.
That's some big shoes.
Yeah.
And so on the other hand, women, if your man is loving you in that way, it should be a little bit easier. I mean, and all I can compare it to is my walk with God.
It has to be. Because anytime God gives instructions in the scriptures, in my opinion, he's telling you this is the answer. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's written out for us. We don't got to guess about this. This is written out for us. So if this takes place, then this is going to take place. You know what I mean? So in where it's talking to the wives, it's telling us what we need to do. He don't want us to assume. He wants you to know for sure this is the answer. This is what you should do. So those lines, easy to read. They're big. That's probably your entire marriage. You're walking out that journey to live up to those things. So just being a woman, just the idea of submission. We've been to a lot of events and we've been to, different, couple things. And, the word submission I've seen when mentioned in rooms, women already in arms, already mad. It's already kind of like a cringy word. It kind of has, I guess, maybe like a negative connotation, but that's because it's put into the context of your experience. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's difficult to follow a fool. You know what I'm saying? But when you have a good man, not being a perfect man. So this is just as a sidebar. I don't ever think he can do anything wrong. Like, I don't think it's nothing that he can't know. I don't give him grace for that. Like, didn't you know? Why didn't you know? So in my mind, I don't have to worry about it because he's not even thinking he's human. Of course he don't know everything there is to know. But because I have so much trust for him, I just believe he knows it. You know what I'm saying? And then I have to sometimes come back and apologize to him like, babe, I'm sorry I got mad at you for not knowing, for being a human and not knowing everything. But it's easier in that way for me to follow him in that way. I'm not, some stuff you got to kind of talk to me and talk me through. But for the most part, submitting to him is something that over years I've been able to just get better at doing. But I mean, I'm going to be 70 years old still working at this. That scripture, whichever number that was, 27, verse 26, somewhere in there. That's why I'm going to be living till I'm 70.
Deanne, you've been quiet, man. You still boiling?
This is not Dion. This is
Bishop. My bad.
Bishop,
you boiling 4 Dion?
Bishop.
No, I'm just
22. Sorry, verse 22.
Verse 22.
Yes.
I'm just so concerned for this young man and his situation. Hurt people is what
That's
I always like to tell people. And him lashing out like that demonstrates that he's probably in some ways unfulfilled in some type of way. And it's very unfortunate. And whatever you may be experiencing or going through, I hope that you get the help you need.
Get it fixed quick. I mean, hey, like I said, I think he came to the, we're going to deal with them with love. But, and again, I'm curious. So I did ask them, hey, what's your point of view? Where you, what part were you focused on? What did you hear that kind of riled you up? Because, I mean, obviously something we said stirred his spirit up, stirred something in him that he felt like he had to respond. And again, I thank him for taking the time to respond. Bronze to gold, thank you for responding. Thank you for commenting, sharing, part of your point of view. Again, we all confused as to, exactly what you're saying. But, feel free to share us more. But for all the men and women that are listening, and again, don't want to dwell on this topic, too much longer. But, real masculinity, I mean, and it's all over the Bible. In Psalms, it says, a man easily angered is a foolish man, right? So it talks about having self-control. That's what manhood really is. It's not getting your way all the time. Like, that's not even an adult thought process. What? What? It's not an adult. That's real. My kids, I got young boys that I raised, and their mentality as young boys is, gimme. I get, I want what I want, and if I don't get it, my feelings are hurt, and to your point, Dion, I think, I hear a lot of hurt in this message. Maybe somebody's been hurt in relationships. I've been hurt in relationships, so I can't even be like, dude, I don't know what you're talking about, or I can't understand that. I've been in there, so I've been in relationships where it didn't look right, and it was, a toxic situation. And then I've been
He's not talking about me, everybody, just so y'all know. Is this on? Okay, go ahead.
But that's not all relationships. And the one thing that I realized as a man is I got to take ownership of my own stuff first.
Yeah.
I got to understand where I'm going, what I'm trying to do, what I'm trying to accomplish. And then a lot of this other, relationship starts working better. Who the Bible says, talks about not being unequally yoked. Well, in order for you not to be unequally yoked, you got to know what direction you're going in. You got to know what you're doing. You got to know what you're trying to accomplish in life. You can't get with somebody who's trying to do something else. And if you don't know what you're doing or what you're supposed to do, you got an issue. You're not equally yoked, and you're gonna have this constant turmoil and battle all the time. And then you're gonna be complaining, saying that your woman is disrespecting you, and and if she's black, she's a black woman, and she's rolling her hair.
There's some thugs.
I got a friend. I'm not gonna say his name. I actually got two friends, and they actually they're writing off all black men. Very funny conversation to me. You said something about it earlier. I think women are women. I've known people who dated, Latino women. They seem very high spirited and passionate. Like they either gonna love you or they gonna either cut something off. It's like no in between. Yeah, they might be, yada yada yada. And I watched this Twitter guy, and this guy said he's not gonna date anybody in America again. Like never. He went to Brazil, and somehow Brazil.
That's close to. I mean, you're gonna see this close.
Well, he went to Brazil, but that's what he said. He said it was American women. So he didn't, say black, white, whatever. He just said American women. But, he was saying that he's going to go to the Philippines, Brazil. He dating outside of the country. Right? Again, making
Let's just follow up with him in a few days.
You want to follow up with him?
Yeah.
I was going to reach out to him. I thought
See
it
how
was
that's going
very interesting.
But, it's back to your point. It's no accountability. Like, you're sending off some type of vibes, and that's what's attracting the people and usually you say best mirror. So you could date whoever you want to. That's not the formula for a successful relationship. It's still going to start in here, and to the people that you mentioned who I love and adore. I mean, that's that conversation. Like, I think it's rather humorous, but you live and you learn. So I can't really tell you about all women because I don't know all women. But the idea that you're just not going to date anybody else in America, I don't understand. You're not going to date the black, and that's okay. You know what I mean? But this has nothing to do with nothing. But just be respectful about it. If you're a black male, chances are your mother is black. So it's like, where is the respect?
And I did not say don't talk about people's mama.
I didn't talk about her. I didn't say no your mama jokes.
You said your mama's black.
But what I'm trying to say about sweet, brown skinned mother is that it's your mom. So where's the respect in that? That's the person who brought you in this world. So
yeah.
Maybe that's where it stems from.
Maybe
you don't want to date nobody like his mama.
And that's such a valid point.
That's what we alluded to last week.
I mean, nobody like your mama, and that's bad. You don't want nobody like your mama. Your mama gave up and sacrificed so much for you, young man.
Oh my gosh.
You still
we don't know. Look, Bernie Brown's gold, whatever. We're done.
I'm talking about this young man that ain't dating no more black women.
Oh yeah.
Your mom is black, like Carla said. And I just can't believe you wouldn't want nobody like your mom. That's hurtful and disgusting. You need to have hands laid in your face.
And disgusting.
I just think, and just to sum all this up, right? You go back to Ephesians 5, men, and y'all challenge me on this. I want to hear from some men. If y'all have something better, I don't think you can get more masculine to what Christ did for the church. I don't think you can get more masculine than that. I don't think none of y'all are men enough to really go through what he did, but that's the bar that he set for us to love our wives. And so, every time I want to get upset, every time I want to get mad, get pissed off, or, I'm not happy, whatever, I have to think that's the level of love that God has for me, right? And, transparent enough, and again, this is for another show, but, when you start responding and reacting in that way, and that's, and I guess he was challenging my stats. I pulled them from Google, so I don't know what was wrong with them or whatever. Divorce is going down this year, but also marriage is going down. Because the other issue is now people just don't even want to get married.
They decide not to get married.
They don't even want to
That's
get married.
facts.
Right? That's facts. So
everybody want to be poly these days.
Want to be who?
Poly.
Poly? Who poly?
Poly. I made the miss say it. It's like polyamorous, I think is what it's called.
Oh, being by yourself.
Nah, meaning you
with a bunch of people.
Multiple.
Yeah.
Well,
men or women, like you just dating whoever tickles your fancy and floats your boat and rocks you.
Just stop fishing on that. Just stop wherever you go. It's a rock ship.
This fad or phenomenon or whatever you want to call it is definitely sweeping our nation, and it's something that is reaching epic proportion. And I think sooner or later it's going to be added to the letters. I think sooner or later these individuals are going to attach them to that. And
what are you talking about now?
The poly.
The poly. Oh,
you're saying that it's a category now, a dating.
It is. It's big. I mean,
I don't know.
I hadn't heard of it, and once I heard of it, it seemed like everybody that day was on that same page. I was like, wait a minute.
I mean, it's nothing new under the sun. You think back in the Bible days, people had multiple wives and multiple things, but in those times, it was based off of how much money you had. You got to take care of all those women.
Boy, who can afford 2 wives? What? 2 of me? Baby, your money is out of here.
So no, I feel you, man. I think, so I don't, whatever the stat thing was, I don't know what it was. If you have some more correct stats, please send them to me. But I know for a fact, marriage and divorce is on a decline.
Marriage
and divorce compared to what it was in 1950 is still
looks totally different.
Yeah, it's what we are in right now as a culture is remnants, and I stand on this. It's remnants of generations and generations of us not protecting the family unit, not protecting it in the United States, not protecting it in the world, and as Dion pointed out, and if it hurts your feeling, not protecting it in the Black community. And some of that is our fault, and some of that is based off of things that we've had to deal with since slavery. So because and the one thing that I would say to anybody who's listening to me right now, start holding yourself accountable. Like, hold yourself accountable for your relationships and your growth. Like, even the relationships that I didn't feel worked in my favor, I still had to reassess and assess myself. Like, what did I do? How did I even choose this person? How did I even get in this relationship? All of that is some unhealthy thing. You said it earlier, like, you attract what you are.
And where you are.
And where you are in life. So if I'm with a certain person and they're doing certain things to me, I got to look at myself and like, how did I attract that in my life? What about me said, hey, I need that type of thing in my life, Maybe. So there's some accountability that
you do.
That's the problem that I see.
You don't think so?
Sometimes, as the saying goes, people come to us as wolves in sheep's clothing, and it's hard to decipher their true intentions.
You see the fangs of that sheep
until it's too late, until you got teeth in your hind parts.
But like for Samson and Delilah, he knew what she was.
He was tired.
So we know, sometimes we run real close.
She did put the sheep's clothing on, real tough.
But
She's catering it.
But he knew that the key of all of that is he still ran real close to it. So you run close to something, you're going to get burnt, So it's
she had that good.
Whatever she had.
Let's go ahead and call a spade.
She was a good looking woman. Whatever she had.
She had
It was worth it to him.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Listen, anybody that's fallen in the Bible and in real life today, I understand your pain and I understand where you're coming from because, listen, every man's downfall, if you research it, if you go back, is in some way attributed to that source.
To the flesh, basically.
To that good.
But that's trumping common sense is what I'm trying to say to you. You know what
It
it
always
is.
does.
Exactly. You
Once
know
you
what
get
it
it,
is. It's not that you don't know. Listen, I ain't been married always.
Okay.
And I have dated some busters. And guess what? I knew when somebody drop all the gas out your car and bring it back on empty, that's not a lifestyle for me. I like gas put in my car, not ran out. Okay. So in that regard, I knew. So I had to take.
But did you break up immediately when he brought the car back with no gas?
Nope.
Of course you didn't.
I didn't.
Because at that point, you were still under...
I was vested.
Yes.
But I had to get unvested because it wasn't healthy for
Yeah.
me. But I couldn't blame that breakup just to him being trifling. I had to own up to I allowed him to do those things. You see what I'm saying? So to your point, accountability. And you don't got to broadcast it to the world. I don't care because I got a fabulous husband now, so it don't even matter. But I had to be honest with myself, And then when you hear, people talk like, girl, I thought you'd never stop talking to him. You be looking back like, oh, I was so stupid. Why can I erase that part of my dating experience? But the accountability was always that. My mom always says, man in the mirror. So I always had to tell the truth to myself. Like, you can say what you want to say about this person, but you allowed that dumb... Let's go. I ain't gonna say no bad words. On the family show.
Great question, great banter, but it's about learning from it, right? And then also, everything isn't a deal breaker. You know what I mean? So you asked her the question like, when he brought you your car back with no gas and then you didn't leave him, probably wasn't her deal breaker at that moment. You know what I mean? Probably needed some other.
Baby, all them deals added up to break it.
Right, they gonna add up. It's going.
It was coming out of my pocket. Yeah,
you have to be a good steward over your finances, and that was a loss right there. That was a loss.
Yes, that's in the deficit. Your girl don't do zeros. Okay, can't go backwards. You got to go forward.
Amen.
So, a couple of takeaways: accountability. To me, equals masculinity, and it just equals adulthood. Being an adult, like you got to be accountable for what you do or say. Stop putting on the opposite sex all the time, like they doing me wrong. Women, men are all this, and women ain't this, and black women ain't this, and all of this. Like, stop. It's time to just take some accountability for yourself. And, again, we do this show. Again, I'm not representing black men or whatever you want to, say. I am a black man. I'm very black. I am. But I'm here to represent what Christ would say about this situation. Right?
Sonya, we need you back, baby.
And, the challenge I would say to all men listening is, read Ephesians 5. Really, really think on what God has done in your life. If you're not a believer, then I might be, talking something that don't make sense to you. But, even in the practical sense, one, first of all, you a man, you're a strong man. Like, you around here, to me, I'm hearing a bunch of dudes crying. I don't let my woman go to the club and go nowhere without me. I don't know what that is. Like, that sounds like insecurity. Whereas, somebody might look at me and be like, you insecure because you letting your woman do all of this. And, I think it's a little bit to each his own. You need to find out what's working in your relationship, what you're going to tolerate, and continue to work on yourself and get better each and every day.
Be the best version.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it. I didn't marry my wife because she was like the best cooker in the world.
Whoa, is that shade?
No.
I'm not the best cook.
She makes some bomb enchiladas. I don't know why. But that's not what,
Okay,
you
on the
know.
show to get.
But no, that's what I'm saying. No, people, you know, that's the thing they're saying. Like if you're a wife,
Oh, Jesus.
like if you're a wife, they say you're supposed to be in the kitchen cooking all the time.
I do. That don't mean I can't.
But that ain't why we got married. And if you don't cook, I'm gonna find some way to eat, right? I know how to cook.
This is going totally in another direction right now. This is about to spill over. Listen, hey, let me tell y'all this, though. Yeah, I know. Let me tell y'all this, though. We value one to another these precious sons and daughters who have committed themselves to this thing we call marriage, and we honor it because God honors marriage, and we definitely want to always be exemplary of the kind of love that Christ has shown in his years. And we definitely are so appreciative of all the things that he's taught us through this good book called the Bible. So very glad for all of you who are tuning in and joining us on tonight. We just honor God for, you taking the time out of your schedule to be with us on tonight. You could have been anywhere, but you're right here. Re-up.
Well, thank you, Bishop.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Bishop.
We appreciate that.
Yeah.
So I brought up a couple of hot topics for today, and saw this yesterday. Brittney Griner. We've been following that situation for the last 3 months, and she got sentenced yesterday to 9.5 years prison in Russia. And so, a couple of thoughts with this.
So it was 9 years, but he gave her. She was sentenced to 9.5, and then they.
I read two things. I read 9 years, and then that the judge, when she asked for leniency,
he brought it down to the 9
they
years.
were supposed they could give her up to 9.5 years, and they brought it down to 9 years. I think that's if that did happen, that's very patronizing. Something that I don't know, but I don't think. I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong. Like the charge was based off of her having like a gram of cannabis.
I don't know.
Cannabis or weed.
I think it said it was cartridges or whatever. I don't know how any of that works, but cartridges, and it had cannabis oil in them or something. I don't know the amount though.
It was stuff that I think here in the States you wouldn't.
It wouldn't be considered a crime.
Definitely not 9 years.
It's sad.
What state you're in.
No time
at all.
I just really, my heart goes out to her family. I believe she has a spouse that was speaking out. She, don't quote me, don't come for me, but I think the spouse wrote a letter to the president. Like this was
To Biden?
this was I don't know politics, I'm not gonna lie, but it just seemed like it became a political thing at such a tough time because with everything going on in Ukraine. I think this started back maybe like February or something. It was the earlier part of this year, so.
And then that's when the invasion of Ukraine,
yes,
took place.
Yes.
And they're asking, I think the last thing that I heard just a couple hours ago was Russia was interested in having talks of doing a prisoner swap, and the prisoner that they want is a dude that
a war criminal or somebody.
I forgot what his name was, but it got something to do with killing a lot of people.
Oh my goodness!
Like he's the kind of dude that may kill on the way out.
Wow.
During the exchange, he might just catch somebody with the shank and keep on going.
Wow.
That's for that.
Yeah, he trying to say his name is. He's an arms dealer.
Okay.
Victor Bout.
Bout.
He is
Bout.
Bout.
The notorious arms dealer. I didn't know him, but he says he's notorious.
And then Paul Whelan, if I'm not mistaken, he's was he a news reporter or something? There's two people, Brittney and this Paul Whelan, that they want to exchange for Victor. And Victor, pretty sure this dude done killed a lot of people, like real crazy, like the action movies that we see. Real life assassin type, stuff. But to me, I'm looking at this situation and what came to mind was, one, I think we need to pray for. I know
for sure.
Please keep her in your prayers. And I know, people are listening right now and she has a persuasion that, most Christians wouldn't agree with. But I said this last week. I think we focus on the fruit more than we should be focusing on the root. And,
it don't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right.
I think sometimes with prayer, people need to know the details and you don't. It costs you nothing to pray for somebody. And it doesn't really matter what they're doing in their personal life. There's no rules on praying for somebody. You know what I'm saying? So I can't remember because I don't keep up with, I don't watch the news at all, honestly, but I can't remember if she has children or not, but
she has 2 twins.
She belongs to somebody. Somebody loves her. You know what I mean? She has a spouse. Sometimes, I've heard it said in church, when you pray as if you were in that situation. I can't imagine being in jail one day and then you in Russia in jail. That's gotta be, and I've only know of what I see in movies. I can't say what it's really like, but you're in another country, not your home country. So, the things that we would take for granted, visitation or just seeing a familiar face, she doesn't have any of it. She's disconnected from, all of that. And this, keep in mind her profession, and her stature and her status. This woman has some type of money and, has built her career, a nice career in basketball. All of the things that she loves is she's restricted from right now. So whatever she's done, hasn't done, we just need to pray. This is just to be caught in the crosshairs of the politics and being in another country just seems very scary.
It's very much so. I've actually, had not this experience, but I've spent a couple of days in jail before. And all you have is time to think. All you have is time to read and to, assess, your situation.
Right.
And again, it's definitely something that, I think about David when he was in the cave of Adullam, right? You have this lonely space. And so, part of my heart, instead of, wishing, different things on her or blaming her for certain things, because Trump had a tweet or something a couple of weeks ago. Probably should have put it up. And, he made kind of like a snarky comment that, she did something wrong. And, that's, we're about to give a convicted, notorious murderer away for, someone to death. But again, he's actually almost, that statement is so idiotic. It proves exactly what's wrong with this situation. You're talking about a person who, in most countries is carrying around something that is not necessarily illegal, right? And we do know how, Russia feels about the letter community, right? So they're even, harder on that situation. So I think politics is a big piece of that as well, but, it's not right. And it's definitely something that, as a Christian, regardless of what we believe or what we, think should happen with any person in this situation. I think God is calling us to pray for them. And what that shows by acting in that way is what the true heart of God is. Bishop said this before, and it stuck with me all the time. You can't affect what you don't touch. Like, you can't change or help, show people that you won't even have a conversation with, or you won't get to know. You can't show them who Christ really is if you don't even want to deal with it. We said last week about people coming to church, and they're leaving because they have a bad experience with a person. Again, not an excuse that you probably should use. If you're using that excuse, I challenge you, go to church. It is just a whole bunch of people there. So you're not going there for that. You're going for, what God is going to give you, right? You're not going there for the pastor. You're going there to learn, get some accountability and grow, right? Yeah. But if you go there and you expect everybody's going to give you hugs or talk sweet to you and talk nice to you, you got different levels of people in church.
Boy.
People who just...
They're there for all kind of reasons.
Right.
But it's people. I think we hold the value of people sometimes to a standard that we don't necessarily hold ourselves to. Like the fact that there's people in there. So if I'm in there, I already know I'm imperfect. So why do I think that this building is supposed to house the most perfect people and they let me in there? Like, it don't make sense. So.
They all didn't say hi to me. They all didn't give me no hug.
That's me. They say, turn to your neighbor. I'll be like this. I'll be straight ahead.
Bishop, what you think about it?
They're like, turn to the other. Hug your guys. Oh, man. But you know what? Not even playing. I sit on the road with the baddest sisters in the world. They gonna come get me. So whether I like it or not, they gonna love on me. So, ooh.
Deaconess.
They the baddest women in the world. They are the truth. But I used to try to sit at the top with nobody around me. I just want to come in here, get this word, and get out of here. And she'll be like, babe, you can't be like that.
It's a vibe.
It's a true statement. It's a true statement.
It's a vibe.
But some people say, do you know your pastor? Do you know this or that? And I think our church is not as big as people might imagine it to be, because there's been plenty of opportunities if I wanted to talk to Bishop Jace to talk to him, but I don't want to know him like that. I don't need him knowing me like that. First lady, sweetest lady in the world. Love the children. So, sometimes with church, I think there's an expectation that because you showed up, not a pastor, got to listen to all your problems and got to be accessible to pray for your marriage. And that, to me, the logic behind that, you know what I'm saying? Like, do you really want him to know you like that? Because when he gets to pulling back some of them layers, it's just not going to be pretty, So I don't feel that we put a lot of responsibility on the church when the church really is when you leave the building. You the church. You know what I'm saying? Like, you might be the only God that a person will see, but you get into it with somebody leaving the church parking lot. It's like, did you just hear a great word? So again, back to the original point of accountability. We're expecting this building, this pastor, these deacons, we're expecting all these people to do all of these amazing things, and we forget that they're people. You know what I'm saying? Like, now we've written off the church, and this is why people don't go to church, and all that kind of stuff happens.
And again, moments like this is where the church has an opportunity to really show, who the church is.
Yeah. And it matters.
Praying for people who Christ died on the cross for people who put him there, who didn't even believe in who he was. Right? So it's so funny as Christians how we act like, he just died for us because we accepted him, but he died for the whole world.
Everybody.
Right? To give everybody the opportunity to accept him and be a part of his life. And how, if you want to keep God all to yourself, and keep all his blessings all to yourself. How, he called us to be disciples, and this is one of those things. If you disagree with some of the things she has going on, you reach out to her. You love on her. Let her see you and your love and the love God has put on your life. And I don't know. Let God do the rest. Let God work out how he wants to, turn that situation around. Because again, dealing with the root, most of us don't even know what the root is. We don't even know sometimes the root of our own issue.
Right, but we're trying to tell somebody else. But that's sorry.
Yeah. We don't, but we're trying to tell them, oh, you're doing this and this is wrong and this is wrong. But we don't know how that journey of that person and how they got there. And that moment in time that put them, on this trajectory. And God does. And that's the whole thing. That's why prayer works. That's why, just acting as Christ would act with people works, because it gives God the opportunity to work out those things that you won't ever, they might not even tell you about. You might not even know about. So definitely pray for Brittney if you're listening. I also, knew in the news yesterday, four officers were charged for the raid for Breonna Taylor. Again, a lot of hurt and a lot of families being affected with that situation. And so we all know what happened with Breonna Taylor, right? And we know how, someone's life being ended in such a way, in such a time, for a reason that, it's senseless, right? But now Joshua James, Kelly Meany, Brett Haskins, Kelly Gottlieb, all of them and their families are going to be affected. And I think you said this earlier, babes, like, and I know we talked about it last week with Will Smith. People don't understand how the consequences of what they do affects all the people around them. Right? These people probably have kids, families as well, right? And so, Breonna Taylor had kids. Had a family. Like, so these actions that, as that word of accountability, that we don't hold ourselves accountable for, right? To do the right things and handle the things in the right way. And especially, we know some police officers, right? It's a heavy duty, right? It's I get it. You got to make some decisions in a quick way, but we gotta figure that piece out. We gotta get them help. Like, I know a lot of police stations. I was looking at I think it was an HBO documentary a couple of weeks ago, and they were talking about how in Ohio they're doing like these classes now for police to deal better with conflict situations or whatever. And I think one thing that kind of stood out to me, one of the cops, one of the police. Show the blackness again, right? One of the police basically said, when I first came here, and he was talking real gutter with it. He was like, when I first came here, I thought this, like, everybody was saying this was nonsense and it's just really a waste of time. But, I'm starting to see, the value in that, right? To me, that's a step. Like, he probably ain't all the way there yet, but just admitting that, hey, I thought this way, and now I'm starting to think this way, is a start. And I think probably, I know across America we need, some of that. And that word balance comes to mind again, right? What does it really look like to make things happen? So we need to, make sure we keep all of these people.
Yeah, just, again, I don't keep up with the news, but just having better reforms in place, looking at where there's places that we can make a difference as far as voting, or looking at different bills, how to be more educated on some of those things. Because to be quite honest, with all of the things that have transpired just in the last couple of years, just the narrative has really changed. And even our conversation for our young men, so having 5 boys, you would, whereas you're saying, hey, if you get pulled over and you're telling them, what they should do, or put your hands up, or, just different things. And then we're seeing some of the things in the news that that person may have did that, or, or in this case, she really had no awareness, you know what I mean? That I guess that this was even taking place, you know what I mean? So
they were coming for her boyfriend.
Correct.
Yeah.
No, they were at the wrong house.
Oh. Get us together. I thought it was that. I always
Because the
thought
boyfriend is
had
who
a
shot.
warrant.
They had a no-knock warrant, but it wasn't for either. They were at the wrong house.
Oh wow.
And the boyfriend
The
shot.
boyfriend, because they busted in,
Yeah.
and the boyfriend was like, "Oh, we're getting broke in on. Let me dump."
And that's what started. Okay.
Yeah,
I
and
understand.
so that they weren't even at the right house. You
So
don't
wasn't-
have your information all together
Correct.
before you go busting it.
Okay.
No-knock warrant should be outlawed. Period.
Yeah.
Period. Because you usually don't get what you're looking for in terms of the people you wanting, because they're not already there at the actual spots that you're trying to go to. But in this case, that would have been avoided. Like,
I
hey,
understand.
is
Yeah.
Romeo here? No, Romeo lives here. Here's my ID. Boom, 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 whatever.
And that's the thing too. I mean, again, I'm the wrong source because I don't watch the news. But that's the thing too. When these things come up, it almost seems like the media tries to build. It's so many different versions of what was taking place. Because I think even in this article, it was just saying something like the packages. It said somewhere down that packages were coming to her address that were because of the boyfriend or something. So like, you know what I mean? Like the facts of it all is that to try to make right what was done, or,
Of course.
because
Yeah, of
just
course.
in the different cases, they try to bring up your past criminal history. None of that matters. It still doesn't mean that we should take their life. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think with the media, they should have some type of responsibility.
That was what was so troubling to me about the situation. A, you're at the wrong house.
Mm-hmm.
B, you bust in there. The boyfriend is shooting at you, yet he doesn't catch a shot. She was just in the bed and she caught all the shots.
Oh my goodness.
So you can't even hit the person that's shooting at you, but you hit a whole innocent bystander. They were both innocent, I guess, in that regard, but or you just are y'all just,
I don't know.
what are y'all doing?
Well,
You're supposed to be professionals.
Here's the thing. This topic became, and that's the reason why I wanted to highlight, Breonna Taylor and all officers involved. It became a very political statement, right? Not more. I think we as a community, we tried to speak to the social injustice of it, but it became very political. It became Black Lives Matter, all these different things. And I think my challenge, and I've always wanted to say this to the Christian community, and this is I think the perfect platform to do it is, or one avenue to do it is we got to raise ourselves above politics, right? And have empathy. A young lady lost her life, and to hear someone turn that into a political situation, and not have empathy for that person or for their family and for what really happened in that situation is it's hurtful. There are a lot of Black people who are upset about that situation. And because you don't have an understanding of it, or because you're not familiar with that, maybe you don't even, and there are even Black people that maybe they didn't grow up in that situation or really have that same point of view or perspective, but as people, and especially as Christians, we have to learn to have empathy for the other side. And empathy is understanding, at least, putting yourself in their shoes. Same thing with some of these police officers. I find it hard pressed to believe that all of these police officers were just bad people, right? But maybe ill-trained. Maybe some of them were bad. Maybe, you know what I mean? There's a lot of situations that we have to look at in that situation and kind of figure out, again, what's the root? What happened in this? And you said, maybe the fix is no more, no not, warrants or whatever. But, I think it might even be a little bit deeper than that, but we don't get to that solution and we don't get to that conversation until we start having empathy for each other and really hearing each other's sides out. Stop saying, oh, Black Lives Matters is this, and then, these people are this, and the police, the blue. I remember around this time is when you had I fight for the blue, and I'm like, it's really not a separation. Most of the police that I know are Black,
Yeah.
So it's like, there's no separation there. And, again, as Christians, I really believe God has a stronger calling for us to not let politics divide us in that. And what's right is right, what's wrong is wrong. And when people are hurting, we're supposed to be that voice, that hug, that love on earth to help get us past that. We're supposed to be that voice of reasoning when everybody is talking about, when the world is talking about all this stuff that really don't matter. We're supposed to be that voice, that light in darkness.
Do you think this is something that's, let me just make a statement, not ask a question. Like, is it because now, or maybe it is a question, because we have cameras now, a lot of this stuff is being caught on? Because do you think all this stuff has been taking place?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And yes.
So now we have visibility to it now, but what's been probably already, this again, like you're saying, these officers might be good about it or whatever, but if this is what's been taking place in that particular area or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, take LA. We were just talking about it the other night with Rodney King.
Mm-hmm.
And I was 12 years old. Thank you very much. So anyways,
They probably try.
we were trying to figure out how old I was, but I lived in LA at the time, and there's a photograph. Maybe I can ask my mom to pull it up, but I'm watching it on the news, and I'm crying in this photograph because that's the first time I ever seen anything like that. Like, it was devastating for me at 12 years old. Like, for it to be on TV, like, nothing is censored anymore. You can Facebook or whoever, you can see just too much. The human eye shouldn't be able to take in trauma like that. You know what I'm saying? So seeing something like that happen, even, probably in the case of any body cam footage or, you know what I mean? Like, that seems devastating to visually see just that type of violence.
I think that's
you
a
know
lot
what I'm
of
saying?
what happens to these officers, unfortunately, so many times, is that they have a number of years on the force and they've seen so much that has
stuff.
made them desensitized to certain things or overly traumatized to other things. And now your reaction has changed based on some of these things and situations that you've been through. And it's a challenge for, healthcare or psychiatric professionals to bring them back to the place they were, or at least a functional place, because what we're seeing and the reason there is an uptick in so many of these shootings is because there has become, like I said, a desensitization and also a prejudice in some cases, not necessarily against Black, but against criminals or people
Right.
that we perceive as criminals or what have you. So if they come onto the scene based on their experiences, they're acting off of that instead of what this situation is.
Right.
And so based on the fact that you're acting on what you think the situation is, you're more aggressive than what you need to be, and it's causing the situation to escalate. And that's what's happening in a lot of these
Because their life
instances.
also is pretty much, they can't really afford not to be on cue. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of things run through judgment, because they have to be able to assess what's going on, assess what you're saying and not saying.
Assess.
But again, a lot of people now have a stigma when they see the police. We see videos on TV all the time where like cops or something, they're getting attacked or they're getting shot at. So it's not just they're on alert for no reason. I do feel that there's a threat sometimes that's.
And here's the thing, so both of your points are super valid. Yes, I think we are in a day of time where, right now, when people get pulled over, the first thing they do is pull out their phone and they go live, right? Because of the things that have happened, in the past, right? These things, to me, probably always happen. I know as a young man driving, being singled out, because I'm driving a certain car, or I'm driving in a certain neighborhood, being pulled over for, no reason. I've experienced that before, we had Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and all of these different places, right? So it's always happened. What is now happening is we see the brokenness in it, right? And I think my challenge to all of us here and to the people listening is, now that we see the brokenness, what's the fix with it? And I think people think the fix is politics, and maybe some laws can be in place to help with that. But part of what you just talked about, prejudice and trauma, being in situations over and over and over again, what type of things do we have in our police department to help them with that type of thing?
Because anybody could have PTSD.
They need to,
right.
People need to be moved around
from the war.
Yeah, anybody
from
could have
overseas.
PTSD.
I have family members that have been over there and seen different things in a way that now makes them think differently about life. Right. And so,
things that they probably shouldn't have had to see.
Right.
It's not human. Your mind doesn't reach for that idea or that visual thing that you actually experience. So that can break you.
So my issue with this is, again, politics deals with it to a certain extent. It deals with that fruit. It don't deal with the root of it. It don't deal with why these people feel the way that they feel. You brought up something. It was something else we were talking about a couple of days ago, where we were just kind of reminiscing about the guy who was like a KKK member. Mm-hmm. And he was a KKK member, and then he went and he had dinner with the news reporter. And you were just talking about, in his mind, he probably never sat down and listened to the side that he hates, right, or the people that he hates. A lot of that stuff is brought up from childhood. Like, how do you teach a child to think differently, even if you have a different thought at this point? These people out, we had the conversation last week before the show about, guns, right? And the issue not necessarily being that you have these guns, even though I still don't think we need automatic weapons for everybody. That's just me personally. Dion feels differently. He wants to clear the house. But
of course he does.
But what I do know is we don't need to put guns in people's hands who are not mentally stable to handle that. I think there needs to be some type of regulation or some type of thing with it. That's political, right? But again, how do you address all of these mental illnesses that people are dealing with? And to your point, it's so easy now to see stuff that we never saw before.
Right.
This time. So imagine how much that could be. And again, I'm not a psychiatrist, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot more people being diagnosed with mental things now than ever before. Either because it was misdiagnosed before, or it's because, again, we're all being inundated with so much of media and life that's right there on I remember a couple of years ago on the internet, on Facebook, being able to see someone who got executed overseas somewhere.
That's terrible.
Never before Facebook could pull it down. It was like, rolling around, and you could see an execution happen. Again, that's the time that we're living in. And things come out so quickly that it's not even possible sometimes to even catch it or protect your kids from it or anything. So,
just when people pass, I think is it Ahmad that was in Georgia, and he was looking through the running, and he just was looking at it. Yeah. So a lot of the footage and stuff that came out, this was for the public to view. Like, this is someone's loved one. You know what I mean? And so because we're so, I guess, drama sells, you know, bad stuff sells, good stuff don't nobody want, you know what I mean? But this was up and it was being shared, and it was just like, you have to tell people, respect my privacy or respect my family, for them not to post things that, where's the human compassion about it? You know, first of all, we're in a day and age, everybody got smartphones. So we really don't need you to share it, because we already got access to it. I never understood that anyways. Like, who nominated you, CNN? I don't know. But anyways, you just, it's not putting, I wouldn't want my loved one up on the internet. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're in that era that we gotta share, but this is harsh to see on the, it's not a movie. You know what I'm saying? This is a real person that has no life in their body, and we just plug it up there, you know?
Well, you know, to the point of that incident, and also obviously Breonna Taylor, so much of that would have been swept under the rug had it not been so prevalent and available.
I
and
understand
we have
what
to,
you're saying.
because of times past, be more like, hey,
I see
do
what you're
something.
saying.
Hey, my loved one has gotten slain.
I see.
Do something.
I see.
You know, because
No, I agree. I
you know,
understand
if
your
there's
point.
not that,
we see the problem now.
if there's
Like,
not that, you know, then it's easy for them to go back to the station and pencil whoop the report and hand it in, and nothing's ever done. But now that we've seen it and we've seen what you actually did versus what you said, no, we got to do something. Something has to be done. You can't just
make it go away.
Well, you know, he moved to me in a threatening manner. He's running from you without a weapon.
I understand. No, I understand.
And you shot him in the back several times. You didn't just hit him in the leg and stop him or slow him down. You you emptied the clip.
With the case of Trayvon Martin, they had to build based on movement and, you know, just what really happened, because there wasn't any footage for it. So I understand what you're saying.
But so it's a blessing and a curse. It's showing us the problem. And, you know, again, you know, I think the main thing I want our listeners to get from this is, you know, as Christians, how do we help this situation? Is it voting Republican? Is it voting Democratic? Is it just that, you know, or is it really going out and helping figure out, you know, you're in a circle of influence, all of us, right? Just imagine, like, you've been around some of these police officers. There's people that are going to listen to this show that have been around these people, and they saw different things or different, you know, mental warning signs that, as a Christian, you could have, you know, we could love on each other and at least act as Christians, right? And really say, hey man, you think a certain way about this. You know, you're looking at things a little bit, you know, let's talk about what you're looking at, right? And what God says about that, right? You go to church, and it's so funny, like, you know, on both sides, on all sides, I see these people, we go to church, they go to church every Sunday, and we're reading the same Bible. And we're supposed to be living with the same Holy Spirit in us. And again, we have lack of empathy for someone who doesn't look like us or doesn't act like us or doesn't live where we live or doesn't have the same experiences that we have or the same job we have. And that's not a good thing for the church. And, you know, for people outside of the church that look at the church, and the church is supposed to be that way. I mean, it's so funny. The world even knows that this is how the church is supposed to be. And they, you know, they make certain comments when we don't act in that way. And you know, this, you know, we know what the problem is. We got to come together and try to figure out how to deal with that problem together. You know, what are you doing, man? You was throwing me off for a second, man. So, you know, again, great conversation. I'm going to take a moment to remind everyone, subscribe, you know, like, share, And again, whatever means you're looking at, we're on Facebook right now. Um, we're on YouTube. We're on the J Agape website. Whatever means you're using, you can definitely comment or ask us questions, join into the conversation. We love to hear from you. Last thing that I know is on the hearts and minds of a lot of people in the world right now is this monkeypox thing. Yeah, I even saw a TikTok. The guy was trying to be funny, but it ain't no funny situation, I don't think. But I found this really good article. I'm gonna share it with everybody real quick. That definitely go check it out. Check it out yourself, and get yourself up and really know what we're dealing with. It has a number of different questions that I think people are concerned with or asking about. So what is monkeypox? And the short of it all is kind of like chickenpox, I guess, or smallpox. Initially, I guess most of the time it was in Africa. They call it monkeypox because initially I think it came from a monkey when they first saw it. But here's the thing that I learned when I read this article, that it just comes from small rodents. It's not just a monkey. It could be any type of small rodent that can can carry that, right? So the CDC is warning petting and cuddling and hugging and kissing and licking your animals, especially your rodents. Might not be a good thing.
They said licking your chinchilla while you have monkeypox.
Right.
Do not lick your chinchilla.
It speaks to where it's spreading to right now. What are the symptoms? Wanted to read those real quickly, like blisters, pimple lesions. I think people notice the bump portion of it, but then it has lymph nodes and headaches and flu-like symptoms. People are asking, is this like COVID-19 all over again, or is this a pandemic? And from what I'm reading, no, it's not. It's something that lasts about 2 weeks. And I remember as a kid having chickenpox. I think it lasted for like 10 days or something like that. I had this scratch on my nose. I think it's gone away now, but I used to have
This said like smallpox though. Mm-hmm. Smallpox back in the day you could die from. You know what I mean? I don't know. I think modern medicine, obviously.
Yeah, that's because we don't have no vaccine back then.
We probably have gotten all our school shots and some type of cocktail mix to keep us from getting those things, but
so I'd say, take it serious. I mean, like anything, any virus, speak to it, care for it. Why are you staring at me like that, man?
Looking for lesions?
He just noticed you kind of itching your arm a little bit, man.
I guess reading this, man, it started making me itchy. But this article is The Verge. If you want to, dig in more with that, definitely check that out. I'll put the link.
It's already a vaccine for monkeypox?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, because it said it's not new.
Yeah, it's not new, so it's already a vaccine there. As soon as you're experiencing some type of symptoms, or
you go get the vaccine.
Yeah, go get it checked. Now I did read that because it's such an influx coming in, that there's certain shortages in certain states. So again, don't be kissing these rodents and these animals and stuff, and sleeping in the hotel with them. Huh?
Who's doing that?
Who's doing that?
Who's kissing and licking on
their animals, man,
and on rodents? Like who doing that?
I watch Ridiculousness. They always show people like dogs licking them in the mouth and eating ice cream and all that kind of good stuff.
Dogs ain't rodents though.
Well, that's true.
I don't understand.
But it's nasty nevertheless. I'm just saying. But,
it's nasty.
A, why you got a rodent, and B, why you?
A hamster is a rodent, man. It's a rodent.
Yes,
definitely.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, man. So definitely something else to to look at and pay attention with. So like I said, I'll put the link at the bottom of this. Really appreciate this show. I think there was a lot of good stuff that came out of it. I didn't know how the first part was going to go, with our commentary. So, I mean, hopefully none of y'all are afraid to leave comments. Go ahead and leave your comments. At this point, I will respond, or maybe I'll start letting Dion respond to the comments. Or Carla.
I'm just a guest, sorry.
Just a guest.
Yes, I'm filling in. It's fine.
Yeah. So, any final thoughts? We at the end? No?
If you contract monkeypox,
Oh,
keep
gosh.
your monkey.
Oh, gosh. Oh, wow.
Listen,
Stay in your house.
stay quarantine
Wow.
yourself. Like don't
You don't want no bump. You
Don't-
want no bumps to
don't
pop
roll
in
up
your
on me. You know what I'm saying? Don't when you see your chick yet. Listen, I'm all right. And I want to stay like that. So stay home and call me or something. Text me. Just text me. Don't even call me. Your
You gonna get it
voice.
through the phone?
Your voice over the phone might irritate my spirit and
Oh,
my
my
skin and cause a allergic spiritual reaction, and I bump up anyway, and I just don't want that. Just go ahead and text me and
Okay.
let me know how you're doing, and we're gonna pray for the sick and shut in.
Sick and shut in.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bishop.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bishop
We got to be there for our loved ones in any way we can, and that includes letting you know, stay and don't go. You don't need that bread or that milk or whatever you go into the store after that bad. Somebody will come and throw it on your porch and keep on going and let you get it. So, oh yeah, definitely. We're not even getting out. Yeah. Telling you. Mm-mm.
Oh, real quick, because I haven't done this in a while, but I heard this new song today. I'm just gonna play a snippet for Mr. Dion here. I just want to see his reaction. I want y'all to see his reaction. This is from a rapper, this Christian D1, one of my son's favorite rappers. I don't know who this Day is, but this song is called Drip. All right, so this is what we're gonna go out with. I'm just gonna play a snippet of it. Y'all check it out, and we'll see what Dion's reaction is to Drip.
Forever. D1. Keep my lips where I'm at, who I'm with. I'm a rock, stars lit. Tell 'em follow my drip. Keep my name on your lips where I'm at, who I'm with. I'm a rock, stars lit. Tell 'em follow my drip. Yeah, follow my drip. Drip. Tell me, follow my drip. Follow my straight cash, homie, I don't do the loans. African oil, I don't do colognes. Be on tour so much, I ain't got no crib. People call me a legend and I'm still here. I don't hate nobody, I be getting them, no. I don't follow no trends, I be setting them, no. My life be lit from the AM to PM. I am who I am, they wish they could be. I'm me and I'm stacking, investing and flipping, man.
You can put it. All right. So, what you think about that, Dion?
Yeah.
I wanted you to hear that part. Keep my name out your mouth,
Mm.
because I think that's what you was feeling this morning, or this, earlier in the show.
Yeah.
No.
Hey. Certainly.
So that's the way I'm ending the show, y'all. Shout out to D1. One of the things we do on the Re-Up is really promote good music with content that's really gonna bless you, that you can bump in your car, That's a song you can bump in your car. The kids can listen to. It's called D1 featuring Ade, and it's called Drip. All right, y'all go check that out. All right, and signing off from the Re-Up online. Catch y'all next Friday at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. Well, Bishop, you coming back next week? Or you letting Dion come back?
I think that it would be best to continue to be with y'all for as long as my season is here.
And Carla has left, but I want to thank her for being on the show with us today. Very interesting point of views. You got to hear a little bit of how our conversations go in the house sometimes. So it's good stuff. All right. Shout out. Y'all have a great one. We love y'all.